Hi guys, welcome back. So we're going to actually start looking at what we're going to do with those contexts that Miss Anderson just showed you. Task one, we always produce a mind map. Obviously, if you don't want to produce a mind map, you want to produce a list of ideas, that's probably okay, but mind maps tend to work quite nicely for this, and we'll work through step by step. So just a reminder of the contexts. So multifunctional living, teenage lifestyle, nature and the environment. Quite a range there. To be fair, I think you can do pretty much anything on the planet, then make it fit one of those three. It's pretty good. We like these. They're nowhere near as difficult as they were 2 years ago, and definitely I don't think as difficult as last year's one. So we're really positive about these. So moving on, we're going to start looking at the mind map aspect of this.
Okay, so let's talk about multifunctional living. Before I explain the images on the mood board, let's just break those two words down. Multifunctional. All that means is something that does more than one thing. So it has more than one function. And this mood board is filled with products that have more than just one function. And then the term living, well, that's what we do every day. We live. It's just how you live your life and what you might do on a daily basis and those products that you might come into contact with. So let's go through some of these images on the mood board and discuss them in a bit more depth and see how we feel. So if we start from the left, you can see that there is a bookshelf and it's got two functions. Obviously, number one is a bookshelf. It holds books. But you can see you can also turn the bookshelf so it then becomes a table, dining table. Excellent. Multifunctional, two jobs. Next to that, you can see that there is a laptop holder, so like a laptop caddy, and it's orange in colour. It's also a window box for flowers. So it's got a really good function. It can hold your laptop, it can hold your work securely whilst you're doing your homework, but it's also decorative because it allows you to plant flowers and enjoy a little bit of nature. Two functions. Moving on from that, we have a chair. Obvious function to provide comfort, something for you to sit on, but it's also a bookshelf. You can store books on it and other products, so it's also storage. So these two functions, it can be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that has two functions that are really, really useful. So for example, I think, I don't know about you, but the bookshelf and the table, they're two really good functions. Like that would make my life so much easier. But then again, you look at the laptop holder and the window box. Well, a window box, that's not really necessary. That's more decorative than really useful, but it's still two things. It's still doing two jobs. On the board, we can also see some multifunctional products that you might not have even thought of or considered. So, for example, one of my favourites, I think, is definitely the cutlery, which you can see on the right-hand side of the screen in the top right-hand corner. So they're biros, and the lids are actually eating utensils. So the lids are actually shaped like a knife, a fork and a spoon. So when you're at school and you are busy working in DT, obviously, and it comes to lunchtime, you're thinking, oh golly, where's my cutlery for my noodles? Huzzah! You have a fork on the end of your pen. How good is that? And that's my absolute favourite. And I think my second favourite, I think, definitely has to be the wine pack. So at the bottom of the screen, next to the book table, you can see a little bird box, a little nesting box. That's actually a wine bottle holder. Okay, so that's actually a gift bag for a wine bottle. But then when you take the wine out, you then have a bird box, which you can go outside and attach to your tree. So it's got two really useful functions, but you can't use one function without it first completing the first function. So you can't have a bird box unless you actually take the wine out. How amazing is that? Okay, so this context has a lot of scope here. There's a lot that you can do with it, and there's lots of ideas that you can just mold together to create these really unique, exciting products. However, some of these products aren't terribly useful. So for example, just behind me there, you can see that there is a keyboard, and it also has a plate in the middle. Now, I know some of you are thinking, that's actually really cool. I wouldn't mind having a slice of pizza on my keyboard whilst I'm doing my homework or whilst I'm playing my games. It's a nice idea, but practically, think about having to clean that keyboard every time you get crummies in the keys. Now, that would be a huge issue for me. maybe not for you. But have a look at this mood board, see some of the other images that I haven't discussed, just see how you feel. Okie dokie. Now that we have discussed what multifunctional living actually means, what it can look like, we're going to discuss how you can create a mind map that analyzes this contextual challenge. Okay, so if you look on the right hand side of the screen, you can see a really nice basic starting of a mind map, and in the middle of it, it says multifunctional living. That's because this is the context that we're going to analyze. And then around it, it's got 6 headings. So it says multifunctional living, client, problem, functions, and products. So I'm just going to discuss how you should start a mind map off, and how these subheadings are actually really quite useful. So the first thing you want to do whenever you're analysing, well, pretty much anything, you always want to define the key terms, okay? So for this context, we're really lucky. We've only got 2 key terms, and that is multifunctional and living. So the first 2 subheadings there, what you want to do is you want to add your own definitions as to what those terms mean, what they mean to you. If you're not sure, if you don't really know how to word it, have a look in the dictionary or go onto Google, pop it in the search engine and see what comes up. And then once you have those definitions, you can then expand on them to maybe other things that you think they link to. Okay? Next one is client. Now, your client is the person that you're going to design and make this product for. Now, your client could be someone that you know. It could be a family member, a friend, a neighbour, or it could be someone that you don't know. It could be for a group of people, and that's called a target market. So you could aim this product at maybe just teenagers, children, family, adults, homeowners, okay? So the world is pretty much your oyster here. If you're really not sure, just think about who you have around you to begin with, and then just go from there. The next one is problems. Now this one can be a tricky one because it's not always easy to think about what problems in life relates to multifunctional living. So my big piece of advice to you is think about your day-to-day life, think about your day-to-day routine, and think about where there might just be parts of your day that aren't really very easy, or maybe it's just that tiny bit difficult. It doesn't have to be a huge difficulty like, oh my gosh, my world is ending because of this thing. It could just be something really, really tiny. But maybe there would be a really, really useful product that would just help to make that teeny tiny problem disappear. Or is there a part of your life that maybe you just don't really enjoy, like maybe some of your chores that you have to do around the house? Maybe a multifunctional product that is both practical but then also entertaining could solve that. Okay, so just think about your own day-to-days first, and then if you've done that and you're still really not sure, go around your household, call a friend, ask other people, and just say, are there any things that you do on a day-to-day that you really don't enjoy or that you find difficult? Is there something that you know I could make that would make your life easier? And just go from there. Okay, so just have a really good think, but don't just go, oh, I don't know. Really think about it and give it a go. The next one is functions. So this is quite an important subheading just because the first term we looked at is multifunctional. So we know that we have to design and make a product that has more than one function. Now, when it comes to functions, the function that you look at, first of all, could be practical. So something that's really, really useful. But it can also be decorative. So you can make a product that not only has a really, really useful function, but is also pretty and nice to look at. For example, going back to the mood board, it could be the laptop holder and the window box. So again, really, really useful, really practical, also decorative. Okay, so it has to do more than one thing. It could do 2 things, it could do 3 things, heck, it might even do 5. Okay, but it needs to be multifunctional. So this is where you can look at all the different functions that you might want to explore as you progress through the NEA. And then finally, products. So straight away, just after analysing these 5 subheadings, what comes to your mind? What design ideas do you have straight away in your head? Okay, what do you think you might want to start making? And again, you might just put maybe 1 or 2 things, but then as you explore other areas to analyse or other things that link to this context, more and more design ideas might come to you, and that is where you jot them down. So once you have a really good start to your mind map and you've explored these subheadings as far as you can go, Now you can expand on them by using Access FM. So in case you can't remember, Access FM stands for aesthetics, cost, customer, environment, size, safety, function, material. Some of these we've already covered though, because we've looked at client or customer and we've looked at material, so you can use the other subheadings to maybe help you. So for example, in regards to aesthetics, what it would look like, you might have zero idea at this point, and that is absolutely fine. However, if we look at our Waggle mind map, which is on the left hand side of the screen, I can see that I have put clients, and I'm looking at target markets. I'm thinking maybe families, maybe teenagers. I've also got clients that could be my neighbour or a family member. So immediately to me, if I look at families, I think aesthetics wise, so appearance wise, I'm thinking family of 4, maybe nice neutral calming pastel colours. Okay, so this is where you can expand on those ideas by adding, well, what do you think they would look for in a product in regards to how it looks? Cost, bit of a tricky one. Sticking to the families point that I've made on my mind map here, in regards to cost, I can start thinking, well, if I'm going to make it for a family, I've got to make sure that it's going to be affordable, because not all families have disposable income. They don't have a lot of money to spend on unnecessary products. So you might want to think, well, actually, I'm gonna aim. Okay, so it's not in stone yet. You're not saying I'm gonna do this. You might aim to make a product that might be under £10, or you might say, I'm going to try and make a product and I'll only use £10 worth of material so that it can then be sold at a reasonable profit. Okay, so that's a tricky one. That's quite a high-end thing to think about. But if you want to give it a go, do a little bit of Google research, ask around people in your household again. Okay, don't be afraid to ask people questions and get some answers and jot those down. Environment. So here you might want to think about not just necessarily how it will be helpful for the environment, how it will save the environment, but also maybe the location of your product. So maybe you're thinking about, again, if I go to client and then teenagers, you might want to design a product that goes into a bedroom or maybe on their desk. Okay, so you're thinking about the actual location of this product and where it might go. Size. You might start thinking about, I'm going to make something that's handheld, or you might think I'm going to make something that can be attached to an existing product like a desk or a bag. Okay, so you're thinking about maybe a component, and you can start jotting down, well, maybe I'll make it A4 size or A5, etc. So these are all ideas. I can't stress that. You're not saying this is definitely what you're doing. This is just your starting point. Safety. How could you make this thing safe? Always we're going to see lots of things about, no sharp edges, no nails sticking out, but what else could you do? Could you add like a high vis strip so it's easy to see? Could you maybe think about what instructions should go with it, or how it will be laid out in packaging? So like really think outside the box for safety. Try and stay away from just the standard smooth edges, because after a while you can only say that so many times without your teacher rolling their eyes. Okay, and then finally, materials. So materials is an important thing to consider, because we do have quite a lot of materials here at school, which is fantastic. However, you might want to purchase materials outside of school. So maybe pop on Amazon and buy a solar powered propeller for £5. Maybe, okay? But don't assume that school has everything. So always ask your teacher what we've got and what is available to you, and we can help guide you with that.
So I'm going to talk through the nature and environment one here. What I've produced here is a very quick mood board, just to give some ideas, my first instincts, as it were, with these sort of pictures. So when we think about nature, we think about plants growing, we think about dolphins swimming. We also can think about trees and mountains and lakes, and just the outdoor world, deserts, ice, Arctic tundras. There's a whole host of things, but natural things. Also, as you can see from that picture there of the turtle, I sort of thought about our impact on the environment. So nature is our natural physical world. Environment is a location, normally a natural location, and it's often affected by human impacts. So nature and the environment, you can do something that's fun for nature, you can do something that's going to help the environment. There's quite a lot of scope in there. So these are some pictures to try and give us some inspiration, okay, of some of the things we might be able to do with this. And now we're going to look at my mind map. So here is my mind map. For this one, I've done one electronically. I've seen students in the past try and create a mind map using PowerPoint. I'll tell you now, don't do it. The reason being, PowerPoint, you have to sort of click and move something, then draw an arrow, then click, write something, move it, draw an arrow, and then you go, oh, I want to move that. Once you move that, then you got to move the arrow, then you got to move something else. Absolute pain in the bottom. So what I found here, there's 2 free online mind mapping softwares I've come across. There's loads more, but these are 2 that I've got good reviews on, and www.mindmup.com is the one I produced this one on. So I took nature and the environment, and I just started to break it down. I was like, okay, let's think of different environments: the Arctic, forests, outdoor hobbies because they're in a natural environment, hill walking, camping. Or hill walking and camping seems to always pop up on any mind map I do because it's some of my hobbies. I also thought, oh, nature. I think of animals. Okay, think of animals. What sort of animals can I think of? Then once I thought of those animals, I thought of products for those animals. So bird feeders, bird box, and bird scarer. Things that work with those animals. I'm not sure the bird scarer is a nice one for the birds, but it's a bird product. Then I just thought environmental impacts, trying to think a little bit about plastic pollution, waste materials, packaging. How can we make that better for the environment? So maybe it's going to be a bin that promotes recycling in a primary school. That would be something that could work here. Thinking of growing plants, going back to my mood board. So think about vegetables, allotments, plants for bees. What products can we make that's going to help plants grow? Okay. There's a whole host of products in here which we can think of that can support the natural environment. As you can see, I've color coded this, so dark blue the center, light blue my subheadings, then yellow are my project or problem ideas, so things I might make. Okay, I'll probably highlight one of those like a brighter yellow later on to say, oh, this is the one I really like. But for now, that just gives you some ideas, and you can come up with more subheadings and you can come up with more areas and build off this. This is just my start point, and you can do what you like from here.
Okay, so this is my mood board for teenage lifestyle, and this context is probably one that you'll more likely be comfortable to work with. So if you've read all 3 and you've looked at the other 2 mood boards and the mind maps, and you're thinking, oh wow, they've just not really sure, then I really recommend that you go with teenage lifestyle, because if we define the term teenage, it's you are a teenager, okay? And lifestyle, all that means it's how you live. So it could be your daily routine, it could be your fashion, your culture. It is you. So if you choose this context, you could design and make a product that is for you or a friend at school or outside of school, okay? So if you really aren't sure, I highly recommend this one. So let me talk you through this mood board and the images that I added and why I've added them. So I tried not to focus too hard straight away on the teenage bit because I haven't been a teenager for quite some time. And so I really actually struggled to think about, well, what does a teenager do these days? Because I don't have any children of my own. I only see children at school. I live in an area that I don't think I've actually ever seen a teenager only under 5s. So I really struggled to think about, well, what might you do? So I just kind of thought, well, okay, what does any lifestyle involve? And to start off with, I thought about work, because everybody works. You work, you're students, you work at school. You don't get paid, and well, you get paid in knowledge. But that is what you do on a daily basis. You know, 9 till 3, you work at school. So at the bottom left-hand corner, I added an image of KAs, something that I'm obviously familiar with, and then the desk with the books, homework, and the maths work there. That's a big part of teenage years. You spend a lot of time in school making friends and learning and socializing and all sorts. So I really wanted to start with that because that's what I felt more comfortable with. And then I just thought about what I've heard you guys talking about whilst we're in lessons, and that brought me to hobbies. So in the top left hand corner you can see I've the little hobbies section, and that is skateboarding and BMX bikes, because I know quite a few of you like that kind of thing. And then I've also included football, so sports. Okay, so teenagers, they have lots of outdoor sports. I know a few of you do archery as well, which is absolutely fantastic. And then I've gone on to fashion. So I've added 2 fashion icons there. I've added Nike trainers because I thought that might be something you're familiar with, but also Six Silk because I know a couple of you like that brand. And then I tried to really think about what you do when you're not in school. And I had to rely a lot on the telly for this because, like I said, I live in an area where there are no teenagers, so I don't really know. And I just thought a lot of it is social. So a lot of it is social media, taking selfies, recording every minute of every day of your life so everybody else can see what you're up to. So that's why I've included those social media icons of Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. And then, of course, technology. So we all like our technology, but I've noticed that a lot of you at school, you all had the latest iPhones and the latest Samsungs, and you're very, very keen to drop them and smash the screens. But also you might have the local gaming tech, so that's why I included the Xbox One. And then underneath, the one thing that I do remember from my own teenage years, you can't really see it, it's behind me there on the screen. I included an image of a very, very messy room, like clothes everywhere, because the one thing I do really vividly remember about my own teenage years is my mother telling me to tidy my room almost on a daily basis. So where you actually live is a huge part of your lifestyle. Might not necessarily be the whole family home you think of, but your room, that is your area, that's your safe space. So that is a huge part of where you spend most of your time on a daily basis. Okay, so just have a mooch around this mind map, think about what I've said, and think about what your own teenage lifestyle would look like if you had to put it on a screen.
So this is me producing a very quick mind map by hand, showing you how to get started. 3, 2, 1.
So here I am producing the Teenage Lifestyles mind map. Always good practice to start with your keyword in the middle, and then going to try and work out what some of our subheadings are. So based on that mood board that Anderson produced, some bits about school. Teenagers go to school, or at least we did. I think hobbies, because we have hobbies. We also have a home life. Might even write a list of sort of the products that teenagers might have. And finally, something I know nothing about, fashion. Okay, so I'm just doing this reasonably quickly. That's some good subheadings. You might come up with your own. And then home life. Teenagers probably spend most of the time in their bedroom. Obviously, I don't know. It's been a long time since I was a teenager. Clothes storage might be a problem. Okay, products, I might come off here, and mobile phone. Hobbies, I'm thinking back to when I was a teenager, so I was a scout, which when I did camping, a lot of walking. I suppose I played football for my local village, and cricket. So I might have, I don't know, boot storage as a product. School, I might just highlight some of my favourite subjects here. So amazingly for me, D&T was one of my favourite subjects. Who could have guessed? I'm also maths, physics. Okay, I also like a bit of geography. Okay, so I'm sort of highlighting here sort of areas that I'd like to look at. And the great things about this sort of mood board for my map, sorry, for you guys, is that it's about teenagers. It's about you. Okay, and off these, you want to start thinking about products. So in bedroom, might want a lamp. Might want speaker. All the products that teenagers have. I can't think of anything right now. School. We might have pencil case. Okay. So I've got a list of things here. One of the later tasks is going, oh, you know what? Some of my projects I think I might look at a pencil case. And I quite like the look of the lamp over here. I like the idea of maybe boot storage. And I've highlighted a few of my sort of favourite ideas. But that's a really quick mind map. Obviously, you're going to spend a bit more time, make it a little bit neater, because you're going to be handing this in to be marked. I just wanted to try and show you reasonably quickly how to produce a mind map and show you that actually physically us teachers are able to do mind maps on an area that we're not confident with. And I'd say we're not confident at the moment on what being a teenager is all about. Thank you.
So, like I said there, that's a very quick, rough mind map. We'd want a slightly better quality because you're going to spend a bit more time on it than my 3 minutes there.
Okie dokie, so this is task 1 and it is the mind map. Now this work should take you 1 hour and 30 minutes. If it takes you more than that, that is absolutely fine, okay? But if you find that you are taking less time, please do go back and see if there's any more thoughts or considerations that you can add, because this is going to be the starting point of your NEA. You've just got to make sure that all your ideas are there on that page, because as you progress, it really is going to help you. Okay, so let's go through it. Produce a mind map for the context you like the sound of the most. So we've looked at all 3 now in the previous slides. You're going to choose the one that you think, oh wow, yeah, I really like that, I can work with that, and produce a mind map, okay, in a similar way that we've shown you. And underneath it does state, if there's 2 that you really like the sound of, you can do 2 mind maps. Just make sure they're separate, okay? Keep them on 2 separate A4 pages, that would be great. Or if you're doing them digitally, that's absolutely fine. But yeah, you can do more than 2. Try to avoid doing all 3, just because it might just be harder for you to make a choice. So just start with the 2 you like the sound of most, all right? If you're really unsure, please start with the teenage lifestyle. Like I said in my video earlier, I think teenage lifestyle is something that you'll find more comfortable, just because it is about you. You're teenagers, this is about you and how you live. So it might just be something that you feel a bit more comfortable working with. And then finally, you can use some of our ideas. So the Waggles that we've produced and that you've seen, you can use some of those ideas, but please do not use all of it. Please do not copy our mind maps and then expand on it. 1 or 2 things, that's absolutely fine, but not the whole thing. So please do respect that. If you have any questions or concerns, please do contact your teacher. You can either do it via Show My Homework or via email. Task 2. This will take you roughly 15 minutes. So what you're going to do now is you're going to read through and you're going to colour or highlight in one colour your favourite project ideas. So read through your mind maps, read through them, and then just highlight what really excites you. Okay, so what really makes you think, oh yeah, no, I really want to do that. Because the worst thing you could do is just go, I don't know, I'll pick that one. That's the worst thing, because you're going to be looking at this for a while. You're going to be looking at this work until Easter next year. That's a long time. So if you choose something that you just, you're not, just, whatever, I'll do that because it sounds easy, you're really going to struggle. In the long run, you're really going to struggle. So really read through and look for something that just makes you feel a bit excited about actually starting and getting going. Okay. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to colour or highlight in another colour keywords or terms that you think will be the most important. So what do you think on that mind map is really important and will really help you as you progress? So it could be maybe things that you've thought about to do with your client, with your problems. Maybe you've thought about the function of it. Maybe that's the most important element. But whatever you choose to highlight, there is no right or wrong. The only wrong is if you leave it blank. This is all your own thoughts and your own ideas. So we can't read that and go, oh no, that's not right. It's your work. So as long as you can justify it and say, well, actually, I've chosen that as the most important because, then it's absolutely right. Okay. So like I said, roughly 15 minutes, but do make sure you read through all of your work.
So here we've got a couple of Waggles from last year, where one of the contests was provide a safe and comfortable home. Like I said, this year's ones are a little bit nicer. Just showing you sort of how they went about laying out their work, how they used underlining or colour to highlight it. I suggest you don't use an actual highlighter like I did in my little one earlier, because highlighters are just a bit too bright and they distract the eye a little bit. A coloured pencil is much better, but you can use. You might be doing this on computer anyway. It's up to you how you go about doing this. It is your work at the end of the day. We're just here to give advice. So that's the Waggle.
So this page here is for you guys to maybe use as a little bit of inspiration to come up with some extra ideas for what product or project you might make. Something that's quite useful, because you just go, oh, I'm trying to think of a product. Things you can hold. So something that can hold something. Or I might think a little bit about how we travel, or my product could maybe be designed for protecting somebody from danger or from the weather. And you can just pick some of these and start thinking of products that you might be able to use. If you look at this and go, I just don't get this page, I'm not going to ask you to, you must use it. I think it's actually quite a useful page to just have a look through. Once you get stuck, when you go, oh, I can't think of any more ideas, stop and have a read of this page and then see if you can think of any extra products that you might be able to make linked to your chosen context. That's probably how I would use this page right now. Anyway, hope you find it useful.
So the final task, and actually the most important task of the day, is to complete the survey on the link on this page. I'll also put the link in Show My Homework as well. So once you get onto this survey, it says 15 minutes. It should take you all about 2 minutes to fill in. It needs your name, and then you need to come up with some project ideas. I'll show you the survey and you can then go fit in. So this is the survey, really straightforward. You just need to put in your name. You tell me who your teacher is, out of me or Miss Anderson, what of the 3 contexts you're going to do, then first choice product that you'd like to make, second choice product, and if you have one, a third choice product. There is also a bonus question at the end, but I'll let you get there yourself. But all we want is your 1, 2, and 3, what products you think you might like to make. What we will do is we will go down that list and I'll colour code each idea. Green, yes, we like it, we think it's a good project for GCSE non-exam assessment. Amber, maybe, a little bit of discussion, we can get there. Red, actually we might not like it and we might think it's too complex, too simple, we don't have the materials to make it, or we don't have the skills. We have to have a sort of a veto right. So that's why we're asking for 3 ideas. More than likely you'll all get a green on there, your first idea, but for 1 or 2 of you, we might have to come back and have a discussion. So that's why we've got this questionnaire set up. Okay, please fill it in as soon as you can. So that is the entire non-exam assessment introduced, and it's also the non-exam assessment mind map project idea time. Good luck, and I can't wait to hear about some of your ideas. Take care, guys.